Father, as we be reflecting on your word, we just look at these verses in John 1. Open our eyes to hear, to see, and to believe. Amen. John 1 begins, in the beginning, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And we hear them lots, don't we? And we say them lots. Jane referred to them for us. And I want you to look at it like this. So, how does the Bible begin? What are the very first words of the Bible? Thank you. And I think you have to stop there. I know it continues in the beginning God created, but I think when you read Genesis 1:1, when you open the Bible, you're meant to stop there. In a world where... is that more forward than normal? It is, isn't it? Can I just move that? In a world where we want to know origins, where we come from, what it's about, what life is about, what is the purpose of our existence? Is there anything out there? Is there someone out there? Is it just by random chance? Are you less valuable than this matchstick? Because if you don't have a belief in God in your heart, you are worth less than that. Why do I say that? This match was designed, manufactured for a purpose. It's not an accident. This matchstick did not come about by pure random chance, by the survival of the fittest matchstick. Because if it did, it would make it of nil value, nothing but a collection of cells that only exists by chance and survival. Worth nothing, meaningless. That's why we can watch a predatory animal devour another and just think nothing of it. Just fit it of the survival. That's all we are, worth less than this match. If we exist in a world without what Genesis tells us. So here's the answer to life. It's the answer to every question in life. It's the answer to the biggest questions in life. When I visit prisons sometimes, once a year usually, one of the things I say to the prisoners is look, you've obviously got time in your hands. Are you thinking about the big questions? And the biggest question of all is there anybody out there? And here's what Genesis 1 tells us. In the beginning, God. I got to think, all these people looking around for answers, what's it all about? Well, it's here. And the world and everything that we are begins with this. And here's John 1:1. So Genesis begins with in the beginning, God. And I want to show you something about the baby, Jesus. Do you mind if I lift this up? There you go. I used to know how to hold one of these, but it's been a while now. Okay. I know you don't quite hold them like that. There you go. Okay. This little baby became a man. Oh, yeah, no, it's been a while. Yeah, and Carolyn's just not into babies anymore. So, it's not going to happen again. Okay. I'm a little old for that now. John 1 begins with these words, talking about Jesus. The word is another name for Jesus. And I want you to hear these words. It's really, really important. So Genesis begins, in the beginning, God. John writing to the very same audience, the very same people who possess the Jewish scriptures, who are familiar with the Jewish scriptures. He presents this to them. In the beginning, the Word, or was the Word. And remember, the Word is another name for Jesus. Can you see what John is doing? Right at the beginning of his book, the very first sentence, to every Jew who knew the Bible, every Jew knew the first verse of the Bible. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth. But in the beginning, and John begins his gospel, in the beginning, Jesus. Can you see what he's saying? It's a colossal statement. It's this, that the being that we know as God The one that we know exists as spirit that can't be seen, accessed, touched. That being is the person, Jesus. You know who he looks like? You know who he is? It's Jesus. That's the beginning. That's how everything began. Now, so let me just jump through to verse 14, because we've just been briefed this morning, and I want to show you something about Jesus. Verse 14, the word. So we'll just interchange the word for Jesus. It's much easier. If you're interested, it's from a Greek word meaning logos. Logos means something like logic or reason. So we don't know why John chose this word for Jesus, other than that Jesus is perhaps the highest purpose logic. Have you got an answer on that, Pete? You're sitting there. Do you want to add anything?
Greek philosophy says that for every object you have a name. The name actually embodies the essence of the object. What is like there's a chair, but there's a thing like a real chair, and every chair that we see and use is a copy of it.
And so the word is the essence of who this is. And so we're going to interchange it for Jesus. The word became flesh. It's unimaginable, isn't it? That this being, this deity that we know about, who's existed, should become one of us. I know we think we're sophisticated, but we really aren't. In so many ways, I talked about earlier about someone passing by falling off a roof. We are so incredibly fragile, vulnerable. We are exposed to every element out there. Have a strong enough blast of wind and we wouldn't stand a chance. We are fragile, vulnerable creatures, sensitive to our environment, dependent on an environment, dependent on, I don't know where you are, but you're breathing, I'm assuming. Okay? I know, okay. And without that, you wouldn't be sitting there. And unbeknown to all of us here, there's something, unless you put your hand here, and it's like, what can you hear? Thump, thump, thump. There's something going on. It's fragile. And if that thing stops, you're gone. It's that simple. And this God has put himself within that framework. It's incredible that the being who made everything, who's above everything, who's bigger than everything, if you ever wonder why the universe is so big, I was talking recently about this, why is the universe so big? Do you know one thing God is saying? That's what I can do. That's what I can do. That's what I can do. And that's where I can travel. And that's where I can be. This being has become flesh. And the last thing I want to say this morning. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. That scene. We can't go to the exact inn because we don't know exactly what it is. But you can go to the country. You can walk the very path that Jesus walked. You can get a boat and ride the very lake, like Galilee. Has anybody done it here? Anyone been to Israel? You can, Ken, you can ride, you can be in a boat in the very lake that Jesus stood. They think, and it's not certain, we know where Calvary was, you have an idea where he died, and the garden tomb, which is probably even less likely, we think we know where that one is, it's probably not. Calvary is more likely the place. The tomb we're not certain about, but we can walk in many of the places, the cities, the town, the Jericho, Samaria, Jerusalem. We can go there. This God has been to our world. And that, that condescension I talked about when he became flesh, we call it the incarnation from a Latin word. Okay, it means the infilling, the fleshifying. Okay, and so the purpose he did that, the purpose he went that far to take on flesh, was so that he had a vehicle that could operate in our world. at the level of his creation. And that's the wonder of it. He didn't come as a king, though he was a king. He didn't come in a sophisticated craft that we could have. He didn't come in an impenetrable external capsule. He came as one of us. He made his dwelling, and look, the Greek word there, that dwelling, the word they use there, it means set up a tent amongst us. And it doesn't mean much to us, but to a Jew, it means a lot, because it was God. The word tabernacle, it means to set up a tent. They knew that God had set up a tent amongst them. And in the way John is writing here to a Jew, he's saying, and this God who set up a tent amongst them has done it again now in Jesus. This is God. And the message of Christmas is this: that God has been in our world. He's walked in our shoe in such a real way, in perhaps the closest proximity to us possible. He's born into poverty. How much of us have known poverty? Who's here ever struggled to pay, to make ends meet that day? Struggle to make ends meet. Who's ever lost somebody, been bereaved? Who's ever wondered if God has forsaken them? Who's ever felt being the black sheep of the family? Who's ever been hated by their peers? Who's ever been wanted to be hurt by somebody? Who's ever felt lonely? Hungry? Who's ever felt abandoned? Who's ever felt cold? Thirsty? Who's ever felt tempted? Yeah? All those things. When he made his dwelling amongst us, he experienced life, human life from the inside. The lowest common denominator of life. So that you could know that he truly knows. Hebrews tells us he's tempted in every way, just as we are. Hey, we have one, the divine, the God of the universe, who's come into our world to visit us. Really, truly visit us and feel our pain. And in the course of that, remedy. And that's the wonderful thing. Sometimes, I said to you before, I've been into prison. See men. But you know what I do? I drive up in my lovely car. Well, it's not that lovely. It may not be lovely to you. It's pretty lovely to me. I drive in my lovely Mondeo, park there, go in, and have a little interaction. It's a bit, I don't go too close. It's a distant handshake. Okay, take some names down and say a few words. Tell them a bit about God. Give them a Bible. And then you know what I do? And it sounds awful, doesn't it? I'm embarrassed to tell you. The first thing I do is go and wash my hands. Because, who knows? What that be, this person may have been touching. And then I get in my car and I'm out. That's not incarnational. Your God has come and he's sat in the cell. He's ate the food. Okay? He's touched you, felt you, walked with you. He knows. This God has stepped into our world. He's made contact with us. And then upon leaving, he hasn't just says, it was a nice trip. Thank you. How did he leave? And this is the wonder of you. See, it's one thing to go and see a patient in hospital. Have a nice day, I'll be praying for you, and walk away. Visit someone in prison, have a nice day. Enter a situation when there's a bereavement and I feel sorry for you and walk away. It's one thing to do that, but this God who stepped into our world, touched us, felt us, experienced our lives, didn't just walk out of it and say goodbye. It was a nice trip. I feel for you. I'll be thinking of you. He remedied our condition. He purchased your ticket out of this world. By the greatest payment anyone could pay. The death of a cross. and left you and me with a ticket out of jail. With a ticket that takes you directly from this world into his, where you get to live and be with him forever. In the beginning, Jesus.